Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's Endless Dream Realm boss guide. So we are back on SkyClops, and before I start the teams, just a few disclaimers. Number one, for SkyClops itself, just a quick reminder for the skill set. The boss will summon 4 wings minion, Wings of Light or Wings of Darkness, to fight alongside it. So whenever the wings are active on the battlefield, the boss is immune to damage, and at the same time it will buff the boss ultimate, right? You'll buff the boss according to which wings are active on the battlefield. So this is the main damage source from the boss. And for this boss itself, you don't actually need the double healer protection in the late game, because as long as you're killing the minions fast enough, the lasers probably won't kill you. So that is the idea. So you want to kill the wings because you want to get in as much damage as possible by removing the damage immunity while preventing the boss from being buffed to do massive damage. Okay, and for the teams that we are going to talk about, there will be a pretty huge damage range because this boss is quite RNG based, where I'll explain the RNG factor later on. So this is the range that you guys are currently seeing. So I think somewhere between 40 to 45 billion is the range that I'm seeing. So this difference could be attributed to RNG, could be attributed to charms, could be attributed to level and stats. So just know that it's roughly around the 40 bill range for this team setup. Okay, so let's start with the team introduction. So this is the meta team introduction. Okay, so we have our dear Merrily as the main carry of choice, best endgame carry, true damage is back, highest damage dealer against this boss. Okay, Smokey, best buffer, best supporter with decent damage output. Rainer, best debuffer for the fractional bonus, as well as best buffer for the carry as well. And then the 2 units which don't usually appear in the other bosses guide, they are number 1 Frey Esto, and number 2 they are Scalita. Okay, so Scalita's case, right, to be honest, you can place Scalita behind the illusion Fresto. I'm putting Merrily behind the real Fresto because the energy regen is very helpful for Merrily to spam her ultimate, which will then give us more buffs on her skill. You can also put the energy regen on Scalita to just try different things out. Maybe I will do 2 runs, one with the energy regen on Merrily and the other one with the energy regen on Scalita to see what's the variance over there. So in terms of who to place behind the energy regen, it might affect the results a little bit. For the one behind the illusion, I don't think it matters too much because, like I mentioned, if you're killing the summons fast enough, then your units are not at risk of dying, so they don't actually need the additional damage reduction. And this is the team setup. Okay, so Fresto, a little bit of damage, a little bit of debuff, as well as buff for your allies, right? This also gives you a ton of stats. We have the 4-1 bonus with additional 3% from the 3 celestial hypogean units. So we have a total of 31% attack and HP, pretty big to survive as well as deal damage. So without further ado, let's start this first run. Okay, so RNG factor comes in when Scalita comes down at different position to insta-kill the enemy. So this is the time where she comes down. So in a very ideal world, she will come down on all the 4 enemies and then remove them immediately. So that is what you want. So right here, as you guys can see, Merrily is spamming her ultimate. So this is to get her true damage EX weapon up. You can also put the energy regen on Scalita so she slams the ultimate as fast as possible, because the ultimate is very helpful in removing the summons as well. So we could try that later on for our second run to see the variance there. But this positioning, right, is to give Merrily her stack as fast as possible. So that's where we are a little slow on not removing the enemies immediately. So that might change if Scalita had her ultimate up. So the bar was really close. So I think if we gave her the energy regen, it might have killed off that summons immediately. Okay, so here there's a little bit of delay over here. So this is what I mean by the RNG. So the RNG will affect how fast you kill the minions. Okay, so unfortunately we are not hitting the 40 bill mark. Okay. Oh, another thing about Scalita is she's not only a damage dealer, she's also a buffer based on her seasonal skill. Pretty massive buff to Merrily, by the way. So the RNG comes in when you are able to kill off the minions faster on Skalita's like insta killing the minions. So this 39 build, right? I mentioned there will be a RNG range. So next I'm gonna give Merrily the damage reduction, and then I'm gonna give Skalita the energy regen. So same position, but I just swap out the buffs. Okay, so let's start the battle and see the results. So this one is to ensure that Skalita actually uses her ultimate more, and then potentially slamming the floor when the summons are active. That's okay. So here, as you guys can see, not the perfect landing. So you can also try to adjust the Skalita positions accordingly in the different tiles to see whether or not she lands more accurately on like 4 of the summons to just bring them, because once she comes down, she basically just removes all 4 summons quickly. So right here, okay, the ultimate usage was a little fast, unfortunately, but it's fine. We still remove the summons pretty fast. So Skalita is charging the energy a lot faster for this run. So I think maybe the energy regen on Skalita could be better. So we shall see the results, or we shall talk about the end results later on. Okay, so right here, no ultimate. Right, we slam out one minion. A little bit slow there. We're at 36 build, 37, 38. Okay. Okay, 40 build, 40.9 build. Okay, so unfortunately for us, RNG wasn't in our favor for us to slam the minions multiple times, but we did a little bit better. And I think, right, maybe for this boss positioning itself, I'll leave it to you guys to figure whether or not there's a more optimal Skalita positioning, but this is the most optimal meta build for the boss itself. Okay, so a lot of it will fall on the RNG on whether or not you can remove the summons fast enough, whether or not Skalita lands on the 4 or 3 summons, etc, etc. So I'll leave it to you guys to figure out the optimal positions. And if you guys don't have the optimal units, what are the other substitutes? Okay, so I'm pretty sure most of you guys will be like, I don't have Freyasto, I don't have Skalita. So if let's say you don't have Freyasto and Skalita, but you have a very standard Dream Realm boss team, then the next best team I can offer is one with Corin as well as OD. So these 3 units, right, these 3 cores, they are pretty standard across the board. Like, they are pretty much the most recommended units, so they work pretty well as well. I'll say they're either the 2nd or the 3rd best team. So this is probably one team that people have. If you don't have Reina, then use Coco, right? So it will do your job pretty well. So this will give you a 3-2 bonus. I'm gonna showcase the battle for you guys. So Corin, when you have 3 different damage dealers, you speed up the process of killing the summons. So like I mentioned, if you're killing the summons fast enough, the AoE damage from the laser is not going to kill you. So you don't really need that many defensive units like having Coco and Smokey together. So for this boss specifically, right, you can run full damage, so you can survive, right, even without Coco in your team. So if you don't have Smokey, you can run Coco obviously, but for this boss specifically, Smokey will be better in providing the offensive buff as well as the heal for the team. Okay, so you guys can see Corin's also dealing true damage, Merrily's also dealing true damage, and then Odie's dealing okay damage, not the best, but I think it's okay. And this unit does remove summons pretty fast, because once he throws the ultimate at one of the wing just falls. So that's one thing that Odie has going. So we nearly died there, unfortunately, but we lived with a slither of health. Very slither of health. Okay, so this is the tri-core low budget shred, right? The more I'll say like commoner shred if you guys have invested in the 3 carries. So this team ranges from 37 to 39 billion. Not as powerful as the meta team earlier, but I think it's decent enough if you don't have Freyasto, or you don't have Skalita, or you don't have both. So if you have either one of them, right, you can take out OD and then put in either one of them, because OD is the 3rd highest damage, right? So he's there because I just want to kill the summons as fast as possible. But if you have Skalita, Skalita does the killing job as well. Skalita provides more buffs for the team for the season skill, and Skalita is true damage. So Skalita is gonna do a little bit better for the fractional bonus as well to boost the damage output of Corinne and Merrily. So let's say if you have Skalita, replace OD with Skalita. If you have Resto, no Skalita, replace OD with Fresto. So that is the idea. So Corinne and Merrily will still be the two better damage dealer. The other ways to modify and substitute the teams out is to obviously you can run the likes of Tamasia. You can also run the likes of Lucius. So Tamasia is good because Tamasia actually has a pretty decent seasonal skill which offers physical damage up for your team. Okay, at the same time, she also has the EX weapon skill, which or she has a seasonal skill which reduces physical defense. So for Corinne and Merrily, before they attain their true damage skill set, they're still dealing physical damage. So this way, you can also increase their damage output by a little bit, right, before they enter their wings on their bow, or even Corinne with the EX weapon buff to get true damage. So Tamasia is okay for the debuffing ability, and being a light bearer gives you the 19% stats as well. So this is one way you can plan the team. Obviously, you can also use Lucius. So Lucius will give you an additional offensive buff in terms of the seasonal skill, same buff as our dear Skalita. Although Lucius doesn't offer much in terms of the offensive capability, but if you don't have other better choice, I think Lucius is also pretty decent. Obviously, if you don't have Lucius but you have the Coco Smoky combo, you can run them as well. So this is the more defensive, I'll survive and try to kill as much as possible team setup. If not, you can also run Torrent, although I don't think Torrent is the best choice for this boss because yes, Torrent does offer a debuff. Yes, Torrent does provide support for one unit to keep them alive. But at the same time, because we are already running Smokey and Merrily and Corinne, so the fractional bonus will be slightly weaker, right? Not a bad thing, but like that few percent of stats is, I'll say, crucial enough to survive that last few waves of laser to get like your 36, 37, 38 billion damage. So I will say if you have a choice, you can obviously use so in the place of the last unit, right? If you don't have Corinne, for example, right, you use OD. So OD will be the damage dealer slot. But if you have Corinne and Merrily, you have the other two units. You can use Tamasia, right? You can also use Lucius, right? You can also use our old friend over here known as Kruger. So maybe I'll feature Kruger in the last battle later on to showcase the damage difference. So this gives you the 3-2 bonus. Although I think Kruger's not exactly the best for this boss because this unit is a single target debuff and doesn't offer much for AoE. So in his place, right, maybe our dear Brutus will be better because Brutus ultimate is a AoE damage, which will help to remove the summons faster. And at the same time, Brutus also has the brand new seasonal skill which increases physical damage taken. So this one is the same skill as Tamasia. So we can use Brutus because Brutus has AoE, has this debuff, and he also has the defense down as well. So pretty okay overall. You have quite a few choices. You can also obviously run the full light bearer carry comp. Same idea as the OD, Corinne and Merrily tri-core. Just do as much damage, kill out the summons so that the laser don't kill you. So that's the team building idea for this boss. So for the final battle, I think I will feature our old friend, which is Kruger. So let me just put Kruger. Oh, let me just put this unit over here. And then I put Kruger over here. Okay, so let's feature our old friend Kruger and see the damage difference. So this is obviously not the most optimal, right? For the endless bosses, a lot of times, every 1% of stats do matter because matters in survival, matters in killing the summons ASAP. So you guys can see, right? Like right here, when you want to kill off the summons ASAP, the only real summon killer in this team setup is actually our dear Merrily once she gets her damage built up. So that's something which is not the most optimal. So this is one thing when you're fighting SkyClops in the endless mode, you want to sort of address right? So if you have certain units that are better in dealing AoE damage, for example, Morale, you can also use Morale as well, right? If you have the likes of Reese, right, the Mauler physical attacker, which deals decent physical AoE damage, you can use her as well. I mean, use him as well. So there's a lot of choice, but the idea is you need a main damage single target dealer, right? Single target damage dealer, and then you need one AoE attacker to try to remove the summons ASAP so that your single target damage dealer can hit as hard as possible. So you guys can see over here, our dear boy Kruger, right, allowed this budget team to hit close to 40 build damage. So I think with a little bit of better RNG, we could hit a lot harder as well. Although even though towards the end, Reina did die. So yeah, these are the few possible team combinations that you guys can try in terms of this boss. The last team building idea that I have for you guys is the wilder side of things. So if you have Bryon, right, if you have Florbell, you can also give them a try, even though optimally they are not very strong in the end game because of the true damage scaling. So true damage will be better than physical and magical damage, specifically for SkyClops. So if you have those units, you can give them a try, but I don't think they're very optimal. They're probably like the 5th or the 6th better tips, right? So the first team is the Divine comp. So this is what I usually call Divine, because you have like a lot of the Celestial Hypogean units. So for Skytar's position, go figure. Then I'm gonna put Smokey here. So this is the most optimal team. Okay, so if you don't have the Celestial units, or you don't have Skalita and Fresto but you're Reina, then you use Corin together with OD for the triple core, or you can also use Themasia, right? You can use Lucius in that position as well. Or if you have either of Fresto or Skalita, then you can use them depending on your levels of investment. If not, our dear old friend Kruger over here, right, on this position is also pretty decent, right? 39 billion, as you guys seen just now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So just play around with your teams, try to rerun a few times to get better RNG, and hopefully you get better damage for this boss. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more videos in the future. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.